Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Guest today, Cheryl Grant. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you having you on. And can you tell us, first of all, where you're calling in from and what you do for a living with Vitality?
Well, great to talk with you. Yeah, usually I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, but I'm actually on a short vacation over here in Hawaii. So
awesome.
Nice to join you guys. And I'm the president and CEO of Vitality, which is a vitamins and supplements company.
Amazing. So can you tell us a little bit more about your background? What got you interested in getting into the space with the kind of vitamin and mineral space? And what did you kind of notice out there in the market that you were looking to do a little bit better or differently with this brand?
Yeah, well, my background, I grew up in the natural health space. My parents were actually involved in the natural health industry, vitamins and supplements. And I moved into a different area and realm of my life, went to university and I actually started into marketing, working with some of the largest ad agencies in Canada. I actually then moved over into the Canadian Diabetes Association. So I there was kind of a pull back and forth. I ran an international marathon program in support of diabetes awareness. And then from there, I actually took over public relations with Best Buy Canada. At the time, the brand was Future Shop, and then into TELUS, which is a large telco. So I had a very diverse experience sort of in the retail front, as well as obviously a lot of communications, marketing, fantastic teams that I worked along the way. And, my passion for vitamins and supplements and what really brought me in the space was actually a family health crisis. And I think a lot of times when we look at businesses and what sparks people into is, when they go through something and it connects them back to either their roots or a passion for it. And, I found that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of missing products in the marketplace while we were going through that. And that kind of brought my brother and I together to revitalize the Vitality name. And we built the vitamin line from ground up, 0 stores, $0 in sales, and kind of went from there over the years. So, but yeah, it was really a passion project. And I always say that, when you feel strongly about something, you go after it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I can't confirm, believe me, just from doing the podcast, there is almost always a very personal backstory. Even if somebody does have a background in the product that they created, there usually is some kind of personal message along with it too. So that's absolutely true. And I think some of the most successful folks I've had on usually always have that background too. So it's amazing. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that side of your story as well. And what was like your initial launch date with this brand since you kind of like got back to it with 2 feet in? When was that exactly?
For sure. We're actually right at our 10-year mark.
Oh, wow.
We came
Congrats.
in and
awesome.
they were literally right now. And so it's been a journey. I think we came into a market. It's very competitive. It was a lot to learn. And we started with stores. I always said, start in your own backyard and build from there. I know everyone, when they start a brand, they want to be national and international right off the top, but there's so many considerations, getting the marketing, the message, the product right. Literally started in our backyard of Vancouver, Canada, built regionally, then we went nationally, and now we're starting into the US as well.
That's amazing. And at the time, what was kind of your general go-to-market strategy at that time? Obviously, with a big retail background, I assume that was always going to be a big vertical for you. Did you kind of start trying to go down that path at first, or did you start more doing like direct-to-consumer selling? What was it kind of like in the beginning? How has it kind of progressed here to 2024, if it is different?
For sure. Yeah, we actually went to retail first. That was really our strategy. Was we really value, especially in the vitamins and supplement space, there's so much knowledge at the natural health retailer level. It's actually still, even to today, where the majority of vitamins and supplements are purchased. So getting in with the natural health retailers, making that investment into building at the retail level, and then starting to grow organically our D2C. As we progress and actually towards 2020 and beyond, we did do quite a bit of focus, a heavy focus on D2C, but we continue to see that the retail is actually our real strength, I would say, in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense with a product like this. And I think it's really interesting, like thinking about the years around COVID, because there was this big e-commerce boom before COVID, even though like COVID was a big thing that kind of led a lot of brands to selling online at the time because it's all you could do. I think it's interesting, like people got into this big boom of buying online, then COVID happened and it continued. But now that like we couldn't go into in-person places for so long, I feel like there's a big kind of like rebound to that. People really looking to get back out in person. So it definitely makes sense. And obviously, nurturing that kind of omni-channel approach is obviously super important as well here in 2024. So That's amazing. Appreciate you sharing that perspective. I think it's something that, and I think a lot of the brands that I have come on, a lot of them started kind of right during COVID, and just a lot of people that I talk to in the e-commerce space today. So what kind of advice, or can you tell us just a little bit, I guess, about your experience, like getting into the retail conversations for the first time? I know that can be a challenge to not only get inside those doors, but also to, strike a deal that makes sense as an early brand as well. So can you share a little bit about your experience getting into kind of your first retail deal?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was actually at a forum talking about this a few months ago, and I said to them, a lot of brands wait until they actually have everything ready. And I think that that's one of the things is if you're really considering something, whether you're trialing or testing that you can get people to click on a website to say, register for the product launch, or you're actually going into the retail stores. Our first retail stores are some of the most known stores in Canada. And I actually went in with sketches of our product bottle and the formulations and got the feedback right from the retailers. And it was very affirming to hear from one of our retailers, like, Cheryl, our shelves are packed, but you've actually punched holes right into the shelf and the categories with these unique formulations. So that's really important that you not just, kind of get insular, but start building that community, start building. Social media is completely transformed as well in the last few years. And the storytelling of building a brand is so important. Like if I could go backwards to the beginning, sharing like what we were going through, like talking about like everything from formulations, meltdowns when everything goes wrong. Like I think there's such a fantastic opportunity for anyone, whether they're going retail focused or DTC, to continue to really share that story and learn from others. I think that so many people are afraid to ask, and LinkedIn is such an open area for people and social media to reach out, but ask people questions. I think a lot of us who have gone through that, struggled through 2020, we have so much knowledge base and we want to share that with people as well. So definitely get out there in front. Like don't wait till you've got it perfected. I think too many people fall into that trap and then they don't have really a line of revenue coming in. So that would be some feedback to anyone starting up.
I think it's such good advice. And I mean, evidenced by me just doing this podcast for the past 3-4 months is just people in the CPG space generally, and just young entrepreneurs, and not even young by age, just young in their entrepreneurial journey, are willing, able, and excited to share about their experiences and help others in the space. So I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I hear, but quite often probably on the podcast as well, is just like there's so many people out there that are willing to help. And like obviously in having those conversations and helping others, like kind of helping yourself too, because you can teach somebody how to kind of get back to the basics and the foundations of where you started. When things get complicated, you can almost forget about those things sometimes. So sometimes it's good to kind of show somebody that side of things, help remind yourself of that too. So it's really good advice. Yeah.
It brings the passion on both sides. Like you're hearing what someone's going through and you can relate to that. And it reminds you, I was there, we've come these steps. So every time you're moving through your next hurdle, everyone's different in their journey, but just that camaraderie to move along. And the other thing is when I said that at that forum, like I went to talk to the retailers, everyone in the room was like, I never did that. Like it was almost like, why did you do that? But it makes so much sense. And so that's why I said, like really putting yourself, getting out in front of your audience, asking them the questions, it really does really makes a big difference. And I wish I'd done more of that. Just like I said, looking back on social media, so forth, how things have evolved. There's so many different ways of doing things. So someone like myself, I may be further down my journey than someone else, but I can give them that tidbit, like take advantage. This is what I'm seeing. This is what went wrong for us. And even basics of trying to figure out an MCB, that was hours of time just struggling through that. It's like a simple formulation like you can share with someone and then give them the sort of the guidepost to help in their journey. But like I said, those sorts of things are all learned knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's such good advice. I really appreciate you sharing that. I guess back to your product as well. I'm always curious here to answer this question. I think it kind of surprised you as far as your like specific customer profiles that you find really resonate with your brand, or is it kind of like where you expected it to go?
Yeah, I think definitely the surprise for me is, when we launched, I did a lot of market research. I knew quite a bit about the vitamins and supplements space. Myself being a consumer, what I was going through looking for product was really heavily focused on the female marketplace, like vitamins and supplements. The majority of buyers are women and they're buying for themselves, their family, so forth. And so, yeah, definitely coming in, I looked at the key categories. We actually launched originally with 4 products based on the 4 key categories and grew from there. But what I really learned is one of our product that still is our top today, because we really spent the time to understand from our first launches what was working and what wasn't. And then from there, we grew that to be one of our most successful products. So, you know what I mean? Like you're always kind of learning from each product. And for us, I would say that we trend towards a younger female customer. I thought we would be more towards towards a female that was more towards my age or even slightly older. And so that's why I said we've continued to move towards a younger group.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And obviously, as you know, as an entrepreneur doing this for 10 years, whatever your go-to-market plan was at the time, it's probably not going to stick for the whole time through. So I think it's really important to your point to just like take the data, understand, like to do the diligence to really understand who's buying and where your feedback is coming from, and just kind of run with it, double down on what's working there and expand on those things with new products and new ideas. I think it's really good advice as well, for sure.
I think too, like the omni-channel, like you see so many people that started with D2C and then they moved to omni-channel strategy. I thought we would do well on D2C to a higher level. We do so well with the retail because of the repeat customer base, where the customer's shopping, and also like with who are you speaking to? Yes, for sure, researching online, but so many people are coming into the stores for knowledge connection. And so again, our niche really does hit where there's specialists with the product. So all of those things came to be very strong learnings for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. And it always reminds me of the exact same type of product, but like I've had a bunch of folks on the podcast recently in the cannabis space. And one of their big challenges being in retail is that everybody that goes into the dispensaries and places where it's legal, they have to go through the bud tender, as they call it, who's the specialist and everything. And people come in and ask questions and they don't know, and they're looking to get recommendations. So what is your kind of experience, working directly with like the actual like staff in those places to make sure that they're knowledgeable enough about your product that they can speak to it in a way where it's effective?
Yeah, I think, we wouldn't be where we are without that team. I speak heavily to that, even when people are like, are you going in mass and so forth? One of the successes we've had is really working with the retails that invest in their people. And that's so important is, whatever channel it is, you have to find what you're investing in. And for us, it was the retail space. So investing into education, trainings, really making sure people understand the product, what's the difference in the value. And, COVID turned huge turnover of people at the stores. So again, that was a relearning too, is like almost fresh relationships coming in. We definitely have invested and will continue to invest more into education. That's actually a big strength of ours. And one of the things that we're doing and continue to do really well, because vitamins and supplements, you do need to understand the ingredients, who they're benefiting and so forth. And so the other thing is for me is sharing the stories of the stores, because the majority of people in the retail space have a very high empathy for other people. So when they can connect and know how it's transformed or changed someone's life, it's the same as me. Why do I continue to do this? It's like when you get an email from someone like I did one day, I was just like, why are we doing this? And I got an email and it was like, your product has literally saved my life, and it's our Vitality Power Iron. And so many women struggle with iron deficiency, and actually even young men, especially vegans, athletes, and so forth. So, you start to see the power of transformation, and sharing those stories is so powerful in providing the education behind it. So that's been really important to us and our strategy. And just as you were saying a few moments ago about how people want to come back in and connect, not just be online, even we're now doing a lot of seminars. So actually in-person seminars across like different cities, and people are coming in and they love that engagement. So that's been another great learning for us, is like really get out in front of people, connect with people. They're ready to connect. They want to get back into retail. As much as everyone loves online, I do believe there's a resurgence towards the retail front.
Absolutely. And believe me, from my experience working remote for the past 3 years now, I mean, I can't wait to get out of the house sometimes. You know what I mean? Like whether it's going to the grocery store or something simple, I mean, it makes my day to have like a real connection with somebody sometimes. So I think that kind of plays into that well. But in either case, I think the point is well taken. I think it's so true. And then Cheryl, one question I always love to ask everybody that comes on the podcast, I think I may have mentioned this to you the last time we spoke. If you could go back 10 years ago when you were still pre-launch, getting ready to launch this line of products again for the first time, if you could go back and give yourself any one piece of advice if you were to start this business again, what do you think that piece of advice would be?
I think going with the confidence that I feel today, like I think when you're starting something, you put so much doubt and question, and that's why I say having those initial conversations with people, know that you're bringing something unique yourself into the picture, as well as whatever product that it is behind it, and be open to the feedback, but stay strong to your path. You know what I mean? Like I think at the beginning, I listened to, I don't like the label. I like the label. Why did you do this? Why? And, and it starts to make you feel like, oh, maybe I haven't done something right. That's why I say for me, if I went backwards, is giving myself that push to say, get more out there, talk even more. So I think have been a pattern of what I've been talking about with you today, but definitely get out there, share your story. People want to connect. They want to meet you in person. They want to hear your stories online, and they want to learn from you, because no one's going to be a better ambassador of your product and your brand than you. And and that's beyond just your product. It's really connecting with people. So if I could go back 10 years ago, I wouldn't worry as much about certain things that I was focused on in the business. I still believe we did the right regional strategy to national strategy, focusing on the omni-channel. I think we hit off on some right notes, that I also would have probably gotten more engaged with people faster, sharing sharing our story and been really confident in that. So that's one of the things that I, take away from today, and I continue to try and bring into my everyday. But I also share with people, if you're going in, take full jump in. You know what I mean? Like really go in without as much fear and give yourself that confidence if you're starting up. And that's what I would tell myself if I could go back 10 years ago. Like in 10 years, you're going to be in a pretty great place.
No, that's amazing. And I love that that's kind of been a, overarching theme of our conversation today, because I think it's one of the most important things for anybody who, for our listener base, there is a lot of folks that are like kind of really early on in their like kind of, venture project world, or getting into CPG for the first time, even if they've been entrepreneurs their whole life. So I think that is one of the most important pieces of advice. So I'm glad you're able to speak to that in depth on multiple accounts. It's really valuable, I think. So I really appreciate you sharing that side.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Of course. And then Cheryl, just want to give you an opportunity as well for anybody listening might be interested in, seeing where they could buy the product, they want to try it, or maybe reaching out to potential business opportunity or relationship in any way. What's the best way to stay in touch with you all?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Cheryl Grant, Cheryl. And for our website to see all of our vitamins and products, we're at findmyvitality.com. So you can reach out and find us there. But like I say, I'm on LinkedIn, our products and our company. And yeah, I'm always looking to meet with people, retailers, people who think they would like to be a part of Vitality, as well as even investors. I think that's another big one. I actually talk quite a bit about that, but only about 2 to 3% of investment go into women-owned companies. And that's another thing, is always build your network beyond just the retail or the online. Continue to meet people, share your story. But like I say, people can reach out to me either way.
Amazing. Well, Cheryl, I just want to say thank you again for coming on. I really enjoyed having you on today. I just want to wish you the best of luck and continued success in all you're doing. I love what you're doing. I think it's really important. And yeah, really looking forward to staying in touch as well. Thank you again for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks so much. It was great to chat.
You as well. Thanks, Cheryl.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.